Come down here for this. When I'm sitting inside Gail King's house, listen, when I'm sitting in her house, me and her talking, she talking to me, Gerard, you want something to drink? Gerard, Gail King. Why would Gail King, Oprah's best friend? Like, I have to say that because I'm like, Gerard, you thirsty? I relive the scene every other day. I relive it in my mind. Because it's hard to believe. But it started with it's possible. Gerard, come inside, have a seat. Oh, Gerard, come on, let's go check it. Listen, her son was going away to college, was going away to work. She donated a bunch of suits to my organization. She said, come over. The night before, it was a Saturday, I went over. Friday night, she sent me a text. She said, are you available to come over Saturday? Yes. No thinking about it. No, let me see who's going. Listen, what time? I'm there. Give me the address. She gave me the address. I was there Saturday morning early. Gerard, come in. The door's open. You want something to drink? Me and her in the house. How did it start? It's possible. It started with it's possible. See, you can't look at the end result. You got to look one step. One step. But as soon as you believe, it's possible. All right, look. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5. See, it's possible. Everything is set up for you to live that dream too. It's set up. I mean, they got the internet. They got social media. They have things designed right now for you to do what it is you have to do. If you've ever had that desire to write a book, you wanted to write a book, but you always thought, like, how am I going to do this? How is this going to happen? Or you wanted to start that business, or you had that dream to start the business. The time for everything is right now. It's right now. Remember I said before 1960, nobody had ever run under 4 miles, under the mile under 4 minutes. But once he did it, it became possible. Well, there is a time set for that vision or for that dream. Don't keep thinking you need something else to get started. How come you never heard of the business Higgins Realty until you did it? Because it was for him. You mean to tell me in the history of time, nobody had ever thought of a company called That Suits You? Nobody had ever thought of that. I'm the only one who put those 3 words together. I'm the only one who thought that was possible. It was waiting for me. It was for me. See, your business is waiting for you. It's set aside. When I put that name in the computer and checked social media to see if anybody had it and saw nobody had it, nobody figured that suits you because it was waiting for me. See, what is waiting for you? See, what happens is we say, God, we tithe. God, all of my needs are met. God, you supply all of my needs. And we leave it, we Christians, this is what Christians would do. And we leave it in the spiritualization side. We leave it spiritualized. But there, between the spiritual part and it actually having it, something comes. See, there's something that's involved. And a lot of times we as Christians, we leave it at that part. Well, one day I'm going to do that. I'm planning on doing this. This is what I plan on one day I want to do this. I plan on doing this. I'm thinking about doing this. I want to do this. And it never happens. Because in between you saying that and spiritualizing and giving and saying, Lord, this is the year, and the year starts, you're saying this is it, and nothing happens, something is called work. See, there is something called work that is you're gonna have to put work in that ingredient. In that meal, you ever ate something but you ate it before and it was good and somebody else made it and it didn't taste the same. They left an ingredient out. A lot of us Christians, we leave work out of the equation. So we have the gift. We put the gift in the pot. We have the Christianization world Christianized. That's in the pot. We put the tithes. That's in the pot. We put the love of God in the pot. And we leave work on the counter. I like it like that. I'm going to leave it like that. And that is not going to get the job done. That is not going to be abundant life. That is not going to get your luggage. It's not going to get the luggage. So then we get mad at God. God, you love. I'm giving. I'm a Christian. I go into church. But you're not putting the work. And you know, these are reasons why people don't put the work in. Go to Proverbs chapter 21. Proverbs 21, verse 25. Says, the sluggard's craving will be the death of him, because his hands refuse to work. Refusing to work. Now, think about work. Go to Romans chapter 12. That's what I want to read. We talking about this, but I got to read this. Romans chapter 12, verse 2 says, do not be what? To this world, but be ye what? See, I'm going to tell you how the confirmation and the transformation, how that happens. My parents, who I love my parents. Man, I could talk to my parents all day. My mother makes me laugh. She is hilarious. I love my parents. My mother worked for Verizon for over 30 years and then retired. My father worked for New York City Transit for over 25 years, retired. That was my stepfather. My biological father worked for New York City Transit for over 25 years, retired. They taught me how to be an excellent employee. They taught me to be an amazing employee. That generation, they never called in sick. They came to work. They came to work. Now I'm good. They worked. That generation, they knew how to work. They was not calling in sick. You need a day off? No, I'm good. I'm all right. They worked. This generation, I was a manager of office. I've seen younger generation, listen, they get a little cough, they calling in sick. So they taught me how to be an excellent employee. Man, they didn't play with that job. They was there. They taught me how to be an excellent employee, but they didn't teach me how to be an excellent owner. I'm not mad at them, but I didn't learn that. So it says, be ye conformed. I was conformed to the world system of just being an employee. Nothing wrong with just being an employee. Some people love their jobs. There's some people, and I'm not mad at that. Some people love their job they go to. I was not one of them. Waking up, getting on a train, being around people who I didn't want to be around. To go to a place that I didn't want to be. For a salary I didn't want. To work for a supervisor who I didn't want to be around. If you are in that position, that is not the perfect will of God alone. Now, listen, don't get mad at me. I do this once in a while. Pastors actually speak once in a while, so I'm just going to say it when I speak. Don't get mad at me. But listen, that is not today's Sunday. If tonight you like, oh, man. You happy, it's the weekend, Saturday, you having a good time. Sunday, church after you eat. Then after you eat and you talk to somebody and then you realize it hits you. Oh, no. Tomorrow is Monday and I have to go deal with those people. And then there's always certain employees who you really don't want to, maybe it was just me. But there was some people that you really don't want to talk to. And they always come up to, how was your weekend? Oh, Lord. It's people like that on every job. But if that's how That, listen, depending on, so I was an excellent employee. I took tests, got promotions. I was a manager of a couple of offices. I was in DMV for 25 years. It's a long time. DMV, a long time. How many of y'all been to DMV? How many of you have DMV stories? How come in all those 25 years, Gail King never asked me to do anything for her? How come she never invited me to a house? But only time people contacted me about DMV is if they wanted a hookup. Yo, you know I got to renew my license. You know I got to renew my registration. How can I? So, but that was fine. But as far as building, we talking about work. See, I came to the conclusion, this DMV is not going to give me the abundant life. I know that's not easy to say. It's not, that truth is hard to hear. But a lot of times that job is not going to give you alone the life that you want. It's not. And especially if you know you have something inside. See, especially if you know that I'm supposed to be doing something different. See, if you know you're supposed to be doing something different and you're doing something different, it's killing you. Because every day you go in there and you're saying, I'm supposed to be doing something else. My life has a greater calling. I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm supposed to be built. I'm supposed to have wrote 2 books by now. I'm supposed to be on my 3rd book by now. I should have been started that company. Because then you know what's going to start happening? You're going to start seeing people doing what you kept thinking about. You're going to say, man, I had that idea 5 years ago. I should have been started on that. So it's the work, it's that confirmation, it's that we conform to the employee and we think that's it, we stuck. How about as an employee, you continue to do your employee, but you still do your dream until your dream takes over the employee. How about that? That is a possibility. Now, it is going to be you're going to have to work. Then after work, you're going to have to do more work. But let's think about it as a true employee. From my experience and from seeing employees, we want to do as little as possible and get paid as much as possible. As an employee, how many breaks do we really take? How much work do we really do? How much work are we really putting in on the job? Out of 8 hours of work, I would say me personally, out of 8 hours, 8 hours of work being there, I actually worked. Now, a little more than 2. I got to get them a little more than 2. I mean, between going to lunch, between breaks, between phone calls, between social media, between maybe 4.5, 5 hours of work. That's terrible. That's a terrible employee. But that's because I knew I'm supposed to be doing something different. So the decision had to be made. Do I continue this route? Or do I've been in church a long time. Do I believe all that word I've been hearing, mixed in with everything that I believe, and decide to make something happen? Let me tell you, within, April? I decided to go full steam in April. Let me tell you. Full steam, because to me, that's like a marriage. I was married to DMV. And you not with her no more? That's strange. But I felt it was time to make something happen. Now, what in 1 month, when I tell you the opportunities that have opened up because of that one decision. I went into a meeting Friday. And it was a school, because we go into schools and we do workshops, principles, we talk about image and everything. So I went in there and I gave my presentation. It was a lady. I like when it's ladies. So I went in there, I walked in there. She looked at me up and down. I like that suit. I like them socks. I like them shoes. I said, thank you. So we sat down, we spoke, She said, well, this is a school. I gave her a presentation. She loved it. She said, but as a principal, I'm going to tell you what most principals are going to say. The first question we ask is what? I said, you want to ask how much is it? I said, yeah. So I told her the price. She said, let me tell you this here. In our budget, we're doing our budget. We don't have anything in the budget right now. We're going to bring you for the fall. We're going to take care. We're going to do that. But I'm writing you a check right now. She said, do you take checks? Yes. Do you take checks? Yes. Yes, we do. Yes. I'll take it. Yes. Listen, I was asked to speak up in Delaware last week. On the way up to Delaware, I got an email from one school. They said, we have 2 checks for you for $1,500. Where was all this? See, I would never get my luggage. My luggage would stay in Florida unless I decided to go and make these things happen. Listen, let me tell you this. There is money waiting for you. There is money waiting for you. There are people who want to write you checks for something that you do better than anybody else, but you don't believe that you can do it that well yet, so they haven't written them out to you yet. It's there. It's there for you. Amen? Say, I'm coming out head first. Hold somebody's hand and say, we coming out head first. Listen, it starts with believing it. Second reason people don't is Luke chapter 5. So the first reason was work. You got to be willing to put it. It's going to be extra work. Maybe after you work 9 to 5, after the job is over, you got to start working on that corporation, that company, that nonprofit, that book, that vision. You got to put the work in. You have to do it. Because if you don't, you're missing out on getting what rightfully belongs to you. So, what did I say? Luke 5, right? I got to go a little faster. Luke chapter 5, verse 8 says, well, I'm going to start reading at verse 4. When Jesus had finished speaking, he said to them, put out into the deep and let down the nets for a catch. Simon answered, Master, we've worked all night and haven't caught anything, but because you say so, I will let down the nets. When they had done so, they caught a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled to their partners in the other boat to come and help them, and they came and filled both boats so that they began to sink. When Simon saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, go away from me, I am a sinful man. Amen? So here we see how he experienced a miracle because of his obedience to Jesus, right? But what was the first thing that he said? He said, get away from me because I'm a sinful man. So he began to devalue himself. He began to disqualify his own self because of his past, which is what we do a lot. We say, because, man, I don't have an education. I don't have a formal education. I'm not as skilled or talented as these other people. I'm not as intelligent as these other people. I'm not a gifted speaker as these other people. I'm not. So we devalue ourselves and eliminate. He said, get away from me. You blessed me. That was incredible. Instead of saying, I want more of that, he said, listen, leave me because I'm a sinful man. Don't devalue your past. Don't devalue the things that you've gone through. Don't devalue who you are, because none of that will change the gift that God has given you. You can say all of that. The third reason is legitimate excuses. There are legitimate excuses for us not to succeed. There are legitimate reasons. If you list out the reasons that you're going through, if you put on a piece of paper the situations that you have in your life right now, that if you gave that paper to somebody, they would say, okay, you have a right not to succeed. You have too much going on. You have a right not to do it. You have a past because, you didn't grow up in the right environment. Your father wasn't there. Your mother wasn't there. Things happened to you as a child. Growing up, you have this going on in your family. You have this. You have a legitimate reason not to succeed. That's still not enough. Even though you have bona fide reasons why you can say, I have all this going against me. I got a lot going against me. I started too late in life. If I would have started earlier. I'm not educated. All these things does not